Okay, next up, we have Sean Kross. And again, no titles. There's no anxiety, but also let's go.
Yeah, cool. Let's see, is it okay if I do that? Okay, great. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sean Kross. I work here at Fred Hutch in the data science lab. And first, I just want to say, it's really humbling and just incredible to see so many people from the data science community, from the R community, come into Fred Hutch. The data science lab is working really hard to get more of these events to happen and to bring more of the public here to my workplace. So I'm really obsessed with R and scientists here at Fred Hutch who are doing data science work. I'm really privileged that I get to work with these incredible clinicians, these incredible biomedical data science researchers. And most of the time they're they're in the clinic, they're interacting with patients, they're at the lab bench, they're doing new experiments. But the other half of the time they look something like this, right? They're looking at a computer screen, they're looking at all kinds of different data types. And one of the most popular data types that they're looking at, which should be no surprise to us, is tabular data, right? Data that comes in the form of what we in R would usually think of as data frames, data tables, that type of thing. And of course, in dealing with these data frames and data tables, of course, people use Excel, they use different database software, but of course they use code. There's lots of Python here at Fred Hutch, there's lots of R here at Fred Hutch. It's really a very vibrant programming for data science community in general. And so, of all of the constructs of doing this programming work that I'm obsessed with, one of them is the data analysis pipeline, which if you're familiar with the Tidyverse, then you should be very familiar with. Also, this is an old style pipe, so you can check off your bingo card. Number one here is labeling a data set called penguins, it's just represented by this variable called penguins. Number two is a pipe. And so what the pipe does is that it takes data from the left-hand side of the pipe and makes it the first argument of a function, which is what number three is pointing to, the select function. So it makes it the first argument of the function that is on the right-hand side of the pipe. And so it's a really nice interface because you can string these pipelines together where the output of every function is a data frame, and you can use that as the input to the next function. So I also have spent a lot of time trying to explain these data analysis pipelines to people and kind of drawing diagrams both in in-person classrooms and online. And you kind of end up with a mess like this, where you're trying to show where each of the numbers go individually, within the cells, and then how numbers in other cells get aggregated. And so in order to kind of help me both better approach data analysis pipelines that I encounter in my work, and of course the time is freaking me out, it's not, sorry, not your fault, sorry, no, sorry, but so I created this web application called TidyDataTutor.com, which I'll show at the end. So in a nutshell, what TidyDataTutor.com does is that it breaks down these data analysis pipelines and steps through every step of the pipeline and illustrates it, right? So I've taken some screenshots from the application just to demo. So if you're familiar with the Tidyverse, we can see that we're selecting these two columns, species and bill length from this penguins data set, and we're moving them, from kind of the left-hand side to the right-hand side as you would with the pipe. In the next step, we're going to group by, so it kind of outlines the column that with the grouping variable, and then it colors each row according to what group it belongs to. Then we can see that the different rows get arranged, within the groups, and we can see that the grouping is preserved, but you can also see how the arrows automatically draw where each row is moving within the data set. And then, the idea with this piece of code, if you're used to reading this kind of R code, is that, we're looking for, I think the penguin with the biggest bill length in every species, right? So just by slicing off the top of each group within this data frame, we get that in the final data frame. So lots of folks are using this. If you're using it, or if you want to use it, I'd love to talk about that. And so you can find this application at tidydataTutor.com. If you're lost, there's also a pandas version. Otherwise you're lost and you wander in here to Cascade the archive by accident. There's a pandas version at pandastutor.com. And yeah, please get in touch with me. Happy to talk about this stuff and also what's going on in the biomedical data science world at Fred Hutch. Thanks so much.
Conference. I'm very excited for this.